activating autophagy without starvation. If you go online right now and search for how to activate your body's ultimate anti-aging system, almost every expert will give you a piece of extremely painful advice. They basically tell you to starve. Right, exactly. You are told to fast for 16 to 24 小时, or is eating absolutely nothing to force your body into a state of crisis where it is extremely deprived of nutrients. True, this sounds very difficult to sustain. But today, we are going to tell you a breakthrough strategy that the vast majority of people don't know about. You can actually avoid hunger entirely, without skipping a single meal, and still precisely hack into this anti-aging system. This is a very counterintuitive discovery, yet it has the backing of top-tier science. Welcome to today's deep dive. Today, we're going to help everyone see through this mechanism from every angle. First, we need to talk about what the so-called anti-aging system actually is. Alright, this widely discussed system is biologically known as autophagy. If we put it in the simplest terms, this is your cells eating their own internal trash. Self-eating, it sounds a bit incredible. But if you think about it in connection with a macro perspective, your cells operate at a high load every day, and they inevitably produce a large amount of industrial waste internally. For example, aged organelles or misfolded protein fragments. Yes, it's just like domestic waste in a city. If you don't clean it up, this trash will keep piling up like a garbage dump on strike. The accumulation of this microscopic trash is the underlying culprit behind Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, cancer, and cardiovascular diseases. Wow, so cleaning up the trash is the core of anti-aging. But in the past, everyone said you had to force the cells to clean up, and the only window was a nutrient sensor called TOR. Right, the previous theory was that when you don't eat for dozens of hours, TOR can't sense any nutrients. So it sounds the alarm, shouting that there's no more food. Consequently, the cells are forced to switch on autophagy to recycle internal trash as fuel for survival. This logic is indeed sound, but it's just too painful. Ordinary people simply can't handle being hungry every single day. That's why this data brings a subversive perspective. There are specific everyday foods that contain extremely special natural ingredients are protagonists for today. Yes, they can directly activate autophagy through molecular pathways that are independent of hunger, acting like special agents holding high-level security clearance cards. Fantastic, since we're talking about cleaning up trash. Let us start with the cell's most important energy factory, the mitochondria. What is the first food? It's the pomegranate. But the magic of the pomegranate doesn't lie in the pomegranate itself. Wait, not in the pomegranate. Then what's the use of eating them? What actually works is a substance called urolithin A. The problem is that no plant in nature directly contains this thing. When you eat pomegranates, you are actually just ingesting a raw material called epigenetic. So it needs to be processed inside the body. Exactly, after these raw materials enter the gut, they must encounter a specific type of gut bacteria. The bacteria eat the epigenetic, and the byproduct they excrete is the true anti-aging master, urolithin A. Let us break this down. It's like you want to upgrade the cell's power plant, but you must hire a specific gut bacteria contractor. This analogy is very precise. Once urolithin A is produced, it can precisely trigger mitophagy. It upregulates the proteins, pink E and parkin. What do these two proteins do? They are specifically responsible for identifying those broken or leaky mitochondria. Once identified, the autophagy system will go over, dismantle them, and replace them with healthy ones. A RNR study in Nature Metabolism found it could directly improve mitochondrial function in the muscles of the elderly. Did the European Heart Journal mention this too? Yes, the RNR study confirmed it can also improve cardiac mitochondria in heart failure patients. The mechanism is perfect. But I have a fatal question. What if I wasn't born with this bacteria contractor? You've hit the nail on the head. A cold fact in the data is that only 30% to 40% of people are naturally born with this bacteria. Wow, so for the remaining 60%, no matter how many pomegranates they eat, is it useless? Are they out of the game? Don't you worry, the authoritative journal Gut has provided a solution. Consume foods rich in dark tannins for beta sharwa. Eat, for example, eating walnuts for 7 consecutive weeks. In other words, gut flora can be cultivated later. Correct, It can turn you from someone who doesn't produce it into someone with a urolith and a producing physique. So, the practical advice for you is to have half a cup to a cup of complete pomegranate seeds with fiber, or 100% sugar-free pomegranate juice every day, paired with some walnuts. Got it. Now that the energy factories are protected, let us look at the body's command center, the brain. What is the second food? Extra virgin olive oil, which we call Evoo. Its core ingredient is oleocanthal, right, a natural phenolic substance whose structure is very similar to the painkiller ibuprofen. It can disrupt the stability of lysosomes and even trigger cancer cell death. But the most critical part is its role in upregulating the parkin protein. We need to talk about the parkin protein in detail. This protein is vital for the formation of autophagosomes. In neurons, it can clear tau proteins and beta-amyloid proteins. Aren't these the culprits behind Alzheimer's? Exactly. Both autophagy and aging cell research confirm that injecting the substance can significantly reduce amyloid proteins in the brains of pathological mice and improve cognition. But I have a doubt. The data mentions that this effective ingredient should have a peppery taste or a stinging sensation in the throat when swallowed. If the olive oil I usually buy at the supermarket is very smooth, does that mean it's useless? Extremely regrettable. But yes, UC Davis had a shocking study in 2015. 69% of Evoo samples in supermarkets failed to meet the standard because of oxidation or blending. My god, 69%. That means the effective ingredients are all gone. All gone, so the golden rule for you is when picking, the stronger the sting, the better, and look for the harvest date on the bottle. It must be consumed within 18 months. Is there a trick to the packaging too? Yes, it must be dark glass or opaque packaging to avoid light and oxidation. The way to eat it is 4 tablespoons a day. Eaten cold, never. Ever heated at high temperatures, high heat ruins it. Ordinary refined olive oil is also completely useless. Remember, the stinging sensation is the good stuff. Good, since we mentioned protecting the brain. The third food can also clear trash in the neurons, right? Yes, and as a daily drink we are very familiar with green tea. It takes a dual-pronged shortcut. The core ingredient in green tea is egg. Right, how is it dual-pronged? It doesn't just directly upregulate the beta E protein we just mentioned, it also has a hacker-level operation, activating AMP. What happens when AMP is activated? It tricks your body into thinking you are currently undergoing intense exercise. Once AMP is activated, it inhibits that nutrient sensing tour. It is equivalent to switching on autophagy without being hungry. Wow, sitting on the sofa drinking tea. And the body thinks you're running a marathon. Is there scientific backing? Of course, evidence from the Salk Institute and the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences thus indicates that egg specifically enhances the clearance of alpha-synuclein, which leads to Parkinson's disease, and also promotes the generation of new mitochondria. But here is the most interesting part. The data says many people's way of drinking green tea is completely messed up. Yes, many people are actually drinking it for nothing. If egg is a special forces unit, then our stomach acid is sulfuric acid rain. Most egg is here in the stomach. How to solve this? A study from Purdue University revealed a cheat code that a few drops of lemon juice. The vitamin C in lemon is like an armored car. It changes the pH balance and protects the egg as it enters the blood. How much can the absorption rate increase? Bioavailability will explode by a staggering 16 times. Adding a bit of lemon juice can increase it 16 times. Are there any taboos? To fatal taboos. First, absolutely no milk. Milk protein will immediately bind with egg, turning it into a total loser and making it completely ineffective. Second is water temperature. You can't use boiling water. Right, absolutely not. It must be controlled between 75 到80度. Above 85摄氏度, egg decomposes. Water that had been boiled must be left to cool for 2到3分钟 use. Drink 3到4 cups a day. If you drink matcha, the content is 2到3 times that of regular green tea. By the way, because black tea is fermented, only 1到3 of egg remains, making it basically ineffective. Got it, green tea with warm water and lemon. Definitely no milk. Alright, now that we've cleaned the mitochondria and neurons, we're going to dive to the deepest level in epigenetics, which is the DNA level. This leads to our fourth food, wheat germ. The core substance here is called spermidine. It is said that the substance disappears quite drastically as we age, right? Yes, spermidine in the human body can plummet by 40到60% with age. This is one of the core overlords of aging. How is its mechanism different from the previous foods? Other foods work on signaling pathways, but spermidine acts directly on the epigenetic level. It can inhibit acetyltransferase. That sounds a bit professional. What does it mean exactly? Simply put, it is like using superglue to forcefully lock your autophagy genes in the on-state. While directly locked in the on-state. How are the results in experiments? Extremely shocking. Frank Mattio's lab at the University of Graz published research in Nature Cell Biology showing a comprehensively extended lifespan in fruit flies, nematodes, and mice. Is there human data? Yes, Nature Medicine had a heavyweight study tracking Babai people for 20 years. High intake of spermidine significantly reduced all-cause mortality, especially from cardiovascular diseases. Then there was the smart age experiment for elderly people with subjective cognitive decline. What were the results? After 12 months of supplementation, memory significantly improved because it cleared damaged proteins in the hippocampal neurons. Since it is so powerful, how should we eat it? Just eat wheat germ. Wheat germ is the densest natural daily source. Each gram contains 240 到350 micrograms. You only need to eat 1 tablespoons a day, about 7 grams mixed into yogurt or oatmeal. It sounds very convenient, but it spoils easily. Right, yes, it oxidizes very easily. Make sure to buy in small quantities once opened. It must be sealed and kept in the fridge. And finish within 3 weeks. What about people who are gluten allergic? Wheat germ, as the name suggests, contains gluten. Are they missing out on the ticket to immortality? Not necessarily, there are alternatives. For example, natto is extremely high in spermidine, though its texture is peculiar. There are also aged cheeses, like Parmesan or aged cheddar. Each gram has 60 到90 micrograms. Additionally, things like soybeans and tofu can provide 90到100 micrograms. Mushrooms are 30 到80 micrograms. Green peas and corn are also good sources. We've provided a full range of choices for everyone. No problems there. Alright, next we're going to talk about the fifth food, which is also the most accessible full-body autophagy trigger. Everyone is very familiar with this. You might have already drunk it this morning. Yes, coffee, but to be honest, everyone drinks coffee for the caffeine to wake up. This is a common misconception. What triggers autophagy is not the caffeine at all, but a polyphenol compound called chlorogenic acid. So decaf works too. Completely effective. Chlorogenic acid has a dual mechanism. It not only activates AMP and inhibits TOR like green tea, it can also activate autophagy genes through an independent receptor called NRFR. What is NRFR? It is the master regulator of the antioxidant response. The French National Institute of Health conducted research published in the journal Cell within 1 到4 hours of drinking coffee. Mice experienced a simultaneous burst of autophagy in the liver, muscles, and heart. A full-body level activation. Exactly, in the journal Autophagy found it can reduce liver lipids and prevent fatty liver. Human data also shows that drinking coffee can lower Parkinson's risk by 20 到30%. Wait, I am going to ask a soul-searching question. I usually drink cold brew coffee with full-fat milk and a dark roast. Based on what you're saying, have I accurately dodged all the effective ingredients? To be honest, yes. You've perfectly avoided all the benefits. Oh no, so how should I drink it? Here is a high-spec guide for you, 2 到4 cups a day. Drinking it early on an empty stomach is best because it can stack with the autophagy dividend of your overnight fast. What about the roast level? You must choose light or medium roast. The chlorogenic acid is 2 到3 times that of a dark roast, and Robusta beans are superior to Arabica. Why doesn't cold brew work? Because hot brewing can extract 20 到50% more chlorogenic acid than cold brew. Adding milk or sugar is also out. Right, absolute taboos. It must be black coffee. Adding sugar will trigger insulin and instantly shut down autophagy. If you add milk, the protein will bind with the chlorogenic acid and reduce absorption. Got it, starting tomorrow morning. I'll immediately switch to hot brewed, light roast black coffee. Now that we have these powerful weapons, how do they complement each other? If you connect them to the macro picture, these foods are not substitutes for each other. Urolithin A manages the mitochondria. Evoo manages the lysosomes. Spermidine manages the gene switches. And coffee manages NRFR. It's like maintaining different components of an extremely complex machine. Correct. 1加1大于2. And there is one final ultimate lever: exercise. Food and exercise have a compounding effect. Absolutely, exercise itself is the strongest autophagy trigger, for example, through pathways like hypoxia and muscle repair. Think about it: if you drink green tea or coffee before exercise, it acts as an AMP amplifier. Exactly, you are stimulating the same signaling pathway from two completely different directions, multiplying fat oxidation and mitochondrial synthesis. What about adding wheat germ? Because spermidine has welded the autophagy genes in the onset. When you start exercising, your body's autophagy response erupts from a starting point far higher than that of an average person. Well, that's what you call raising the biological baseline. Let me help the listeners summarize a perfect daily operation guide. Alright, let us visualize it. Upon waking while in a fasted state, have 1 to 2 cups of hot brewed, light or medium roast black coffee. Breakfast, add 3 tablespoons of refrigerated wheat germ to your yogurt. Or eat some natto. Perfectly done. Lunch or dinner, drizzle 2 tablespoons of that Evoo with a strong stinging sensation over your vegetable salad. Throughout the day, drink 2 到3 cups of 75摄氏度 green tea with lemon juice. What for snacks? If you're hungry in the afternoon, have half a cup of complete pomegranate seeds or a handful of walnuts. Range perfectly for the whole day. Yes, by seamlessly planting these habits into your life, you use the compound interest effect of daily accumulation to continuously send signals of cleaning and repair to the body. This is much smarter than painful long-term fasting. Today's discussion has truly and completely deconstructed the top-tier science behind these foods. It has, and this triggers a very profound thought. Think about it: if a substance like spermidine decreases by 60% in the human body with age, and these foods can reopen the switches of aging from an epigenetic level, then is the aging we fear an irreversible natural curse? Or is it simply because in our modern industrialized diet amongst all kinds of ultra-processed foods we have forgotten how to send the correct command codes to our cells? Wow, that question hits the nail on the head. Maybe the key to anti-aging has always been in nature, we just ate the wrong things, indeed. Thank you everyone for keeping up with this extremely hardcore yet inspiring deep exploration. We encourage everyone to go out and pick a bottle of the right olive oil or brew a cup of green tea with lemon after work today. Start your cell's renewal journey. No problems, no need to go hungry, you can start today. Looking forward to our next deep dive. See you next time, see you then.